Oh, got a bit of a slower week this week. Got the kids, so obviously I want to spend time with them. I'll probably just be doing one, maybe two videos a day for the moment. If I do two, one of them will probably just be a really short one, just midday while I'm on my break, quick. Just rather than reading anything out, it'll just be something I'll have noticed, and it'll just be giving me opinions verbatim rather than going through it. Anyway, I'll crack on with this. So we're going to go back to a bit of US institutionalised anti-Semitism again, revisiting that, because Claudine Gay, the Vice Chancellor equivalent in America, I think you call him the Dean of Harvard, she has finally resigned. I had a sneaking suspicion this was on the cards, simply because the board said that they'd given her full backing when the initial scandal started, and for me that is a kiss of death when you're getting corporate language like that. That is not a good sign when they're saying they're getting full backing. Not surprising. I wish she hadn't have resigned, to be honest with you. I wish she'd ridden it out and forced it to collapse in on itself and cause a big massive row. But unfortunately she's decided live by the sword, die by the sword, I guess. So you've got to give her credit for that. I believe she's also caught up in more plagiarism as well. I think 6 more cases. Very serious stuff, because she's obviously a very senior person at a university, or was, and her work potentially will have been cited in other words. And I suppose it shows a poor state of research at the moment with what's happening, because my understanding is that current research at the moment, there is less research productivity happening right now in history than was happening in the 18th century. There were more discoveries in the 18th century, scientifically speaking, than there was during the entire of the 20th century. And that's not like as a per capita, that is it as a whole. My understanding is. So let's crack on with this anyway. Claudine Gay resigns as Harvard University president. Harvard University president has resigned after facing allegations of plagiarism and criticism over her comments about anti-Semitism on campus. Well, it wasn't just criticism of her comments, it was an absolute reneging of her duty of care to her Jewish students there. Whatever you feel or think about what's happening in Israel, Gaza, all that, that has nothing to do with the people that are in America. At the end of the day, her job as the dean of the university is to look after everybody. And the problem is especially after what's happened with Black Lives Matter and all the George Floyd stuff, they've set a precedent of what they've allowed to happen. And she, rather than giving the same treatment of protection to Jewish students, she has taken a side, and I believe partly out of fear of the mob. Because again, like happened at, I think it was Evergreen College, which was a liberal arts college, where the students absolutely took over. And one of the Weinstein brothers, I think it is, not Eric, I can't remember what his brother's called. He was, had to edit then, just had a disturbance, I'll carry on. Yeah, one of the Weinstein brothers, can't remember which one it was, but he got basically kicked out of campus because he said it was racist to have a day without white students on campus. He believed that everybody should be on campus, which I fully agree with. So anyway, let's carry on. But so mob action basically. Claudine Gay has faced mounting pressure to step down in recent weeks. In a letter announcing her resignation, she said it was in the best interest of the university for her to step down. Absolutely, it is in the best interest, and I can't wait for the whole board to get made to step down as well, because they've behaved absolutely disgustingly towards the Jewish students there. It's just been absolutely abysmal. And I'm not saying that Palestinian students haven't had a fair argument to make with regards to with the essentially levelling of the entire of Gaza, but in my opinion both sides are as bad as each other throughout the history of it. Controversial take maybe, some people will probably be angry at me, everybody will probably be angry with that. I don't care, that's what I'm here to do. It has been distressing to have doubt cast on my commitments to confronting hate and upholding scholarly rigour. Well, how ironic when you keep being embroiled in plagiarism. You're talking about scholarly rigour. You've got no rigour in your work whatsoever. So how can anybody take you seriously? You cannot be trusted to run a bath, never mind to actually run a university, and this is the problem. And she, in my opinion, has been put there because of the colour of her skin and because she's a woman. Back at it again. Sorry about that. I'm just staying with family at the moment, so I'm just having to work around them. I'm just having to keep pausing while they're doing what they need to do. Obviously, I'm visiting them, so I've got to work around them. Back to the story. This is not a decision I came to easily. Indeed, it has been difficult beyond words, Dr. Gay wrote, adding that her resignation would allow Harvard to focus on the institution rather than any individual. Well, I think really she's actually been told to leave. I think they've probably given her the opportunity to resign, or they've basically said, we will sack you if you don't resign. So it's normally a common courtesy, especially, whereas if you're I don't know, a truck driver or a shop worker, the boss will just sack you. They don't care. But when it comes to these sort of prestigious roles, there's a sort of etiquette. I don't know why they do it like that. To be honest with you, I think it's disgusting. They should have sacked her, in my own opinion, but they don't. It's probably the legal ramifications of it more than anything. And also, I suppose, to be the optics, because they don't. She's the first black and female dean of the university. And she's also the shortest now serving dean of that university, funnily enough. But this is what happens when you hire somebody based upon characteristics rather than actual ability. And we're probably going to start seeing this with the airline industry. In fact, I think I've seen a story recently about the airlines having a lot of problems, record numbers of problems, and that's, I think, related to the fact that they've been doing diversity hires as well. I'll look into that for you. The 53-year-old served as president for 6 months and was the first black person and only the second woman, there we go, to be appointed to lead the Ivy League university. Her tenure was the shortest in its 388-year history. That's impressive. Nearly 400 years, and that is the shortest tenure. Like, that is some going. You know what I mean? To do that. Like, I bet there has been some right boobs who've worked there before and done some right stupid things in the past. You know, like, I don't know, like, whatever would be scandalous for back in the day. Just had to restart the video again. It was kids this time. It is what it is. That's life. It's what happens. Part of the joy of it. Yeah, so 388 years anyway, trying to get my feng shui and my flow back. So during a tense congressional hearing last month, Dr. Gay said calls for the killing of Jews were abhorrent. Absolutely true. I mean, that isn't just abhorrent. It's absolutely disgusting. The calls for killing anybody is absolutely disgusting. And the fact that these deans of these universities did zero, they did the square root of F all to deal with these things is, I think, almost criminally negligent in my own personal opinion. And these people should be made an absolute example of. It is just absolutely without comprehension that somebody of such a prestigious level can renege on their duty of care and professionalism like they've done. But it is what it is. What can we do? I mean, I'm just a pleb. I don't know about you. I have no power. But at least we can come online and grumble about it and hopefully change stuff, move the Overton window, so to speak. She added, however, that it would depend on the context, yeah, I remember her saying that, was crazy, whether such comments would constitute a violation of Harvard's code of conduct regarding bullying and harassment. What? And I liked it when the congresswoman, in response, said, what, they actually would have to be killing Jews for it to be in the context, would it? Like, that is insane, isn't it? For such a supposedly educated person. But is she educated with the level of plagiarism she's been involved in? Is she actually educated? Has she actually got a high IQ? I personally doubt it. That maybe some people may consider that slanderous. I really don't care. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. That comment prompted a widespread backlash, and she later apologised in an interview with the university's student newspaper. When words amplify distress and pain, I don't know how you could feel anything but regret, Dr. Gay said. Well, that is just weasel words. That is just absolute weasel words to try and dig herself out of a hole that she's made, and all she's doing is digging deeper rather than just telling the truth. You know what? People might rake you over the coals for telling the truth, but you know what? She'd probably still have a job if she told the truth. Or at least she could walk away after resigning and say, you know what? At least my conscience is clear. I was intimidated by the mob, and you know what? I made the wrong choice, but at least I've at least tried to exonerate myself slightly for it. Dozens of politicians and some high-profile alumni called for her to step down over the comments, but nearly 700 staff members rallied behind her in a letter, and the university said she would keep her job despite the controversy. Yeah, well, that's because academia is absolutely riddled with communists. You know, like, I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not saying that as an insult to general lefties. They are absolutely riddled with communists. And McCarthy was 100% right when he was talking about Reds under the bed, and he didn't go far enough. But since then, US media outlets have unearthed several instances of alleged plagiarism in her academic record. Harvard's board investigated the allegations last month and found 2 published papers that required additional citation. Well, it's not just that, but she was actually plagiarising a fellow black woman as well. So she wasn't just stealing work; she was stealing the work of another person of colour, as they like to say. So that's even more disgusting, really, from the left's own point of view, so to speak. I personally don't think it matters about the skin colour of who the person was that's been nicked off. It's just disgusting that they've done that and tried to pass it off as their own work. But for their own point of view and their own politics, it's just absolutely rubbing their own noses in it. The board, however, said that she did not violate standards of research conduct. That was just the worst part about it, the fact the board would say that and think they could get away with saying that as well. Like, how can that not be a violation of standards? Plagiarism of your PhD thesis. You know, this is like This is like a I don't know, baseball player doing home runs or something, you know, or a football player, soccer player, you know, scoring goals. It is the job of that person. It's the primary role of that person to do. You know, the PhD thesis of a professor is to do PhDs and do them accurately and to the rules. More claims that Dr. Gay failed to properly cite academic sources emerged just hours before she resigned on Tuesday and were published anonymously in the conservative Washington Free Beacon newspaper. The university governing Harvard Corporation said in a statement that Dr. Gay would resume her faculty position after resigning. Crazy. Back into faculty. After resigning with this scandal, and they're taking her back on. There is just zero repentance from these people, is there, whatsoever? We thank President Gay for her deep and unwavering commitment to Harvard and the pursuit of academic excellence, it said. While President Gay has acknowledged missteps and has taken responsibility for them, it is also true that she has shown remarkable resilience in the face of deeply personal and sustained attacks. It's not sustained attacks, and it's not deeply personal attacks, it's statements of facts, and they don't like the fact that somebody's lifted up the rock and shone a light on all the creepy crawlies that are living under there. And this is it, the dirty laundry is getting washed out in public, and they can't stand it. The problem is, though, is these people are just like the Soviet Union, where they will lie to your face. It's like when at Chernobyl, where they were lying about all the nuclear material on the ceilings and stuff like that, weren't they? They were actually making the nuclear engineers lie about it. And no, you don't believe your eyes and don't believe your Geiger counters. The equipment's faulty. That is exactly what this is. It's gaslighting. These people are actually trying to gaslight us. They think we're stupid. They think we were born yesterday, or that we're just country bumpkins who don't have a clue. You know, just they think we're called Cletus and, you know, sit down playing a banjo, drinking moonshine all day. They just think we're absolute morons. While some of this is played out in the public domain, much of it has taken the form of repugnant and in some cases racist vitriol direct. Yeah, everything's racist, everything's homophobic, everything's sexist, blah, blah, blah. It's just it's the mantra, isn't it? That's the prayers that they come out with. Because it is a religion, this woke ideology. Yeah, kids again. Yeah, it's just like it's a non-deity worshipping religion. This is what it is. You know, they have the mantras. You know, diversity is our strength. You know, no human is illegal, and homophobic, transphobic. You know, whose streets, our streets. They're the prayers and the mantras and things. It's exactly what it is. It's a religion. It's a cult, and that's what these people are. They've got a mind virus. They don't realise it. And I think in 100 or 200 years, people look back at this as the start of a new age religion. Dr. Gay is the second university official to resign following the 5th of December congressional hearing. Former University of Pennsylvania President Elizabeth McGill resigned just days after an angry backlash, and donors withdrew $100 million, £80 million grant in protest over her comments. MIT President, and I didn't know this until I read this article, Sally Korbluth also testified at the hearing. Now, I thought the MIT President had also gone from her job, but it looks like she is still in place with my reading of this. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Just a little bit of an update on that. It's been quite an interesting story, although it did quieten down quite a bit, but I just think it's people are still interested in it. It's nice to see these, well, I would say comeuppance, but she's going back into doing other work anyway straight away. So has she learnt anything? Absolutely not. Has academia learnt anything? Absolutely not. As we're seeing at the moment in the UK with Rishi Sunak stopping all these foreign students, bringing all the families over, the left are having an absolute meltdown over it. Everything's racist, everything's homophobic, everything's transphobic to do with that, and all the other phobics. The universities are melting, and they're a Ponzi scheme. They're an absolute Ponzi. I don't know fully about the American system. In the UK, they're basically they're just degree processing machines where they're just getting as many foreign students over as they can. And there's even been stories coming out that professors have been doing the PhDs for the students just because they want them to finish so they get the money. It is a Ponzi scheme, and it's getting ready to collapse in on itself. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. If you've enjoyed that, found it informative, or it's piqued your interest, any of that good stuff, please like, subscribe, put a comment below, and I'll speak to you later. Bye bye.